Hello guys, bersama saya lagi dalam Alright Nopod Channel. Siapalah Muhyiddin yang pernah mengatakan Anwar tidak akan pernah jadi PM. PM tepi sajalah selagi dia bersama dengan DAP, kata Muhyiddin. Jadi hari ini kalau kita lihat, kalau kita bandingkan ketika Muhyiddin menjadi Perdana Menteri, apa yang beliau buat? Projek sini, projek sana, sakau sini, seleweng sana, rasuah sini. Ketimbang dengan Perdana Menteri kita hari ini, walaupun mengalami tekanan yang begitu berat, ya, ditambah lagi oleh pemimpin PAS yang tidak habis-habis menunggang isu itu, isu ini. Datuk Seri tenang mengemudi negara kita. Jadi sahabat semua, saya ingin membawakan Anda untuk mendengar ucapan Perdana Menteri kita yang begitu hebat sekali. Jadi tanpa membuang masa, ayo kita tonton bersama video ini.
And some very satisfactory press reports. First, the trade ministers, which resolve some outstanding issues and a common position vis-à-vis the unprecedented tariff announcement. Although we have got some reprieve temporarily, hopefully we can sustain that. And now, of course, the relative success of the meeting with the ministers and governors of Central Bank ASEAN. Now, I will not bore you with details. Finance ministers and governors are known to be a very boring team, discussing statistics and figures, and of course under intense pressure, regionally, internationally, and also domestically. Everyone expects more funds from you, every ministry, every department, and of course from Prime Minister to presidents. And so I don't necessarily envy your position. But nonetheless, I would start with the issue of the most unprecedented development in terms of the decision by President Donald Trump of the United States. Of course, we in ASEAN, I have communicated with virtually all leaders. Our foreign ministers have been in touch, trade ministers in touch, and now finance ministers. But I think, as I believe in the Shumika's position or view on gale of creative destruction. At times, seemingly, what you'd say, things fall apart, the center cannot hold, so all story of gloom and despair, but not necessarily so. It depends on our resolve, our tenacity, our conviction, how we're able to use this opportunity to bring back confidence and strengthen our force. First, our domestic economy, then our regional economy. Now, of course, I would say, alhamdulillah, at least for now, there's a temporary reprieve. But at the same time, there is a very strong, hardened position vis-à-vis China, which is also a problem to us, because it will impact our economy, in a way. And therefore, our position, ASEAN centrality, we continue to have good bilateral and excellent trading, investment relations with the United States. At the same time, our position in ASEAN is to ensure that our relations, particularly with China, other than Japan, Korea, and the neighboring countries, remain strong and formidable. Why? Because we protect our own economy, domestic economy. Again, the reason is our priority, imperative is to ensure that our fundamentals remain strong. Our fundamentals will remain strong if we can secure peace in this region. And peace would mean be friendly to all our neighbors. And as I've said and reiterated, China is a very important player, and we can't ignore. I mean, yes, some countries have problems, but yes, we'll continue to navigate in the best manner possible to secure peace and security. At the same time, to ensure that we obtain most benefit in terms of economic, investments, and related areas. So, as you know, President Xi Jinping will be visiting Malaysia next week. It's a major challenge for not only for me in Malaysia, but also for ASEAN to showcase what's the meaning of centrality, why we need to engage with our neighbors, why our more positive, pragmatic position vis-a-vis engaging with everybody. Hopefully, most of the contentious issues can be resolved amicably. Our position in ASEAN is clear, that we are for free trade. We are guided by a rule-based economy. And that means our participation in the WTO, preceding GATT in the past decades. So I don't think there is a problem. So I'm extremely delighted when I engage with the leaders of ASEAN, without exception. Of course, countries will have their own priorities, their own specific priority in action, but without exception, may I repeat, that all leaders say ASEAN has to work together and present a more cohesive, coherent case within ASEAN and in our engagement with the rest, including with the United States of America. And to me, this is extremely heartening. I must, through you, convey again my deepest appreciation with them. Long discussions, and we'll continue other than that with other countries. In fact, Prime Minister of New Zealand just online with me, just to ensure that New Zealand is not left out, and their keenness to collaborate with ASEAN and takes a common position vis-a-vis ASEAN. Prior to that, Foreign Minister of Australia contacted our Foreign Minister, and Secretary of State Rubio engaged with our Foreign Minister, and I continue with some of the close contacts of President Donald J. Trump. And in my discussions with presidents and prime ministers, many of these countries have some engagement with some top personalities in the United States, and we of course have these exchanges and benefit from one another. And I went through the trade ministers' recommendations, which is consistent with our view, and I think precisely that is what transpired in your assessment and your recommendations. Now, as I said, gale of creative destruction, why is it to be more creative? It's to strengthen our force. You know, our colleagues in ASEAN have always said that this is whatever said and done, with all some limitations that we have encountered, and you know, dealing with neighbors, sensitivities, but it has been an extremely successful regional collaboration. You see, and you look at the regional groups throughout the world. ASEAN is an exception, and is undeniably this is something which has been going for decades. I'm not denying the fact that sometimes we have you know, some minor issues here and there, but never to the extent to have so much distrust and seeds of discord or even enmity. So I think we should work on that. But what is the consensus in our meetings in Vientiane and prior to that in Jakarta, in our bilateral and regional, particularly ASEAN? What is the normal expression? Is that we need to do more. We need to enhance trade. We have to enhance investments. We need to have this comparative advantage, not to be seen as you know, to be competing with one another, but to collaborate in the spirit of you know, taking the strength and comparative advantage of these countries. And so customs, border, then sub-regional groupings. People may say that we are only highlighting Johor, Singapore. Not necessarily true. because I've had lots of discussions, including last few days with President Prabowo, on the need to then collaborate on the sub-regional basis with Bombo Marcos, with the Philippines, and more so with Thailand, its immediate border with Malaysia, to focus on the south of Thailand, which is relatively poorer, and the north of Malaya, which is also relatively poorer. So we need to then forge this sort of understanding, which covers, therefore, customs, border, and propelling the economic collaboration and advantage of these countries. What I want to suggest is, of course, this is in line. I'm not giving anything new, but I'm just to reinforce this. With your support, then we will then push this agenda ahead. With Vietnam, for example, in the energy transition grid, ASEAN energy grid, of course, ideally we should go through Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, and down, but it will be phenomenal cost, be at the second stage. But the first stage, for example, is energy grid from Vietnam, undersea cable to north of Malaya, right through down to the south and to Singapore. And we were thinking of how to collaborate through Batam and then Sarawak to Sabah and even South Philippines. I mean, these are issues that we can not only explore, but we have to cement this and push fast enough. And there's no point of lamenting about problems that we can't easily resolve. Problem with the United States is not something that we can easily resolve. But intra-ASEAN trade, intra-ASEAN initiative, customs and investments, this we can. And I think we should do it at a faster pace. And, finance ministers and governors are extremely influential in this country. That's why I was telling Amir why I didn't want to leave the post of finance minister, because this is influential. Because sometimes they're more influential than the prime minister and president. Don't quote me on this, you'll be in trouble. The media is here. But you can, with your immense influence and power, you should push the agenda forward. The understanding of the macroeconomy, the financial situation, the currency, combined between governor and finance minister, they are the peak, the pillar in any country. Now, with your strength, you can strongly influence, and I think we should come to more specifics in terms of digital connectivity, in terms of energy transition, in terms of cross-border trade, in terms of customs understanding, in terms of utilizing the capacity of industrial sector where you end up. There's no point on our smaller economies competing and undercutting each other. But there is a great benefit if we can, for example, prioritize what each country can excel, and we work together. And I take this very seriously, because this has been talked about, since the 1990s. I remember Supachai was then trade minister, Thai trade minister, and later became WTO DG. But before that, he was one who was really vehemently pushing for this. He says, Anwar, we have great resources and wonderful sort of relations among us. It's extremely peaceful. But why can't we just push our leaders and convince them that the future, the answer is, of course, financial, digital, those days not yet digital, but trade investments among us. And I think it is my duty then, of course, to remind the issues relating to Myanmar is, of course, of concern, particularly the unfortunate earthquake and the devastation, which is horrendous. I'm thankful that many ASEAN countries, or most ASEAN countries, have offered assistance. We are in touch, and I think because of that, I have had direct engagement with Senior General Prime Minister of Myanmar to speak about humanitarian efforts, and I've also informed all my colleagues that look, we should use this occasion to work together, at least starting with humanitarian, engaging with both parties, then probably persuade them to at least accede to some of the concerns that we have expressed according to the broad parameters of the 5-point consensus. So that's it for now. I mean, you can read my paper if you want to. So, again, thank you very much, Amir and Governor Rashid, for taking this initiative and for your presence in Kuala Lumpur. You know, but the next time they should have some resort somewhere, because you know, finance. In my experience, in various ministries, of course, finance and including central bank are the most focused, serious. They immense help to the nation, but you know, they can be quite boring. So please make sure that you have time to relax, engage, and like the ASEAN way. ASEAN way is not holding hands, also to sing and relax in this culture. Our strength is not just pure monetary and economics. Our strength is also the cultural vibrancy. When I wrote Asian Renaissance 25 years ago, I say we take great pride in the forging ASEAN ahead as a major economic focus and fundamentals. But it's not just economic empowerment, it's cultural vibrancy and empowerment. So with that note, I thank you again. Terima kasih.
Thank you Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim.